Almost like Shark, but Sark! Let's talk about Texas, man, the Longhorns. All right, Sark had this to say about the 2026 upcoming season. Said it has a different fit. Verbatim via Chris Lowe of On 3. I would say probably for the first time, I feel like we have top-level talent across the board, position by position on both sides of the ball. But yet, we also have depth behind it across the board. That is the biggest question when it comes to Texas. What kind of depth do you have? Do you have everything in the pieces you need? Now, they're really good in recruiting, man. They're going to have some guys to watch out for. Obviously, Tyler Atkinson, this should be a big-time year coming up. For Justice Terry, he should be a name that should be able to make some noise this year, right? We got Colin Simmons back another year. You know what I'm saying? He should be able to do his thing this season. And then if you're the Longhorns, right, you went and got the talent you needed. You went and got a Raleek Brown. You went and got a Hollywood Smothers, right? And then you went and finally got a wide receiver one for Arch, which is what you needed. And then we already talked about the young thoroughbred that has been turning up, obviously, in the spring for them that's expected to have a role this year. And then you still brought back Ryan Wingo, who should be your wide receiver too. So 1,000%, this team did get better. From a talent level perspective, it's going to be probably pretty hard to compete against Texas this year. There should be no excuses this season. This team should be a lot better. If you Sark, you win and you change the defensive coordinator, you moved on, right? You brought in Will Muschamp, who's a great defensive mind, a savant. You know what I'm saying? And then you brought back a previous guy that was a, defensive backs coach for you. He's coming in as an analyst in Blake Gideon. So you made the coaching changes necessary for this team to be better. You went and got the talent. You had to spend your money. You know what I'm saying? You had to use the NIL, the rev share, the donors' money. But you in big Texas, so it's going to be big expectations this year. But 100% I would Sark. Like, this team should be a lot better. This team should have a different feel. And this is a year you should get to a CFP and you should make a deep run in the postseason. To me, it's no excuses. Now, like I said, they were active in the portal. They went and got some offensive linemen. But we need to see this offensive line be a lot better in 2026. We cannot see what we seen last year when it comes to Texas and that offensive line. It was atrocious. It was putrid, right? It was borderline disrespectful, if we're being 100% honest. But to me, if you Texas, you've improved the offensive line. You've improved the running back room. That was kind of a little bit shaky. You had C.J. Baxter. He moved on. Wasn't the same after that. Obviously, injury. But you went and got better in that room, right? You went and got better at the wide receiver position. You went and got better on the interior of the offensive line. You went and you changed your defensive scheme and your defensive coordinator. So, yeah, 100%. It should be a different feel. You should be playing. If you Texas, there's pressure. But low-key, you're kind of playing with house money because this should be the year that you make the noise. Now, again, there is pressure, right? Because people got, Arch won the Heisman. Sark, they got you probably being coach of the year. So there is pressure. But it's a different field this year, man. You got a lot of good young talent. And like you said, you got the depth this year. Compared to other years, you didn't have that. You struggled there a little bit, man. You had to lean on other people and kids that weren't ready, right? Parker Livingstone was pretty much your best receiver last year. Shouldn't be the case this year. Shouldn't have to be worried about run defense this year. Shouldn't have to be worried about, okay, can we consistently, get turnover? No. You should be a lot better this year. So 100%, I agree with Sark. It is a different feel. Now it's time to go make the money on. This year coming up, it's time for Texas to take the step forward. You got Arch, probably going to be his last season. You bring him back one more year. He looked good against Michigan in that bowl game. He should be able to take the next step forward. This whole offense should look a lot better. And you should be the creme de la creme. It would not be right if Texas ain't win about 10 games this year. Now, I know it's a 9-game SEC slate, but if you Texas, you got to handle your business. And it's the year with all that money invested, that oil money, you know what I'm saying, that donor money, that SEC money, that rev share money, that NIL money. You should be able to take a step forward this year, and you should be in contention. We're going to find out, though. But I feel him on. It got a little different feel, as it should. But comment down below, Texas fans, how excited are y'all for this 2026 season?